Well, Kalukale Ofrabjus Day, everybody. Just walking around the city, taking care of business. And it won't be very long until the activists in the Democratic Party and in the major cities start demanding that something be done with all of the buildings that are empty. There's a channel, very simple channel. I actually would be a bit excited to see if I could send some of you over there just to pick up on. You could tell he's really trying to keep the content a constant. It does also seem that he's at the same time very concerned about the subject matter. I'm kind of getting the feeling that this is an Asian who is either familiar with the Bay Area, from the Bay Area, something like that. It's just the way that there's a certain kind of perfect way that his English is spoken. There's something about, yeah, it's just something that you notice growing up. The Asians speak differently. There's something almost like this model type of speaking, but I highly recommend his channel. It's called Finance Hat, and what he's been covering is just the empty parts of San Francisco, like the Powell shopping corridor. He's been getting into BART. That's the one that he recently caught on to. So I actually sent him I put a little comment. I'm like, oh, okay, if you're talking about BART, the next thing you need to start talking about is the Muni system, because that's the internal train system in San Francisco that already has its own burden of finance that has got to be getting difficult to deal with. And so I'm very curious to see what it's like if you're on the trains in San Francisco, if you're taking any of the trains, along Market Street, or because I know that the trains got extended all the way down 3rd, I believe. That happened long after I left. And so that's another one, is I'm wondering, do people take the trains, out to the beach, like the El Taravel? Is the N Judah still as populated a line? Because people live so far out to the beach. Where, if you at the end of the El Taravel, unless it was the height of rush hour, it could be 1997, and the El Taravel was typically pretty sparsely populated by the time you got to the end of the line, even though that was a relatively densely packed residential neighborhood. So, and this is making me very curious now that it's even more dense, that if I were to look around on a Google map, they've obviously changed how tall you could build things there. So they've packed more people into the neighborhood. But are the trains empty by the time they get to 48th Avenue and stuff like that? Because that would make the trains in San Francisco extremely hard to finance if that's happening, if that's the trend. And that's kind of the sad thing. I actually had this debate with this young man who obviously loves trains. And I'm like, well, no, trains aren't efficient. They only go from point A to point B. What if you want to go to point A sub 3? There's point A sub 1, sub 2, and sub 3. You want to go to sub 3 and then go on to B. Well, and you're going to, you could get off the train and take a bus. I do that. And he just really was like, I realized what was going on. He just didn't want to lose. He was at that stage, which is one of those things that I started thinking it through, because this is a young man who could calculate damn near any discount at any point. His memory is sharp as an axe. So once he started going into like libtarded, limp-wristed kind of stuff, I was like, oh, okay, this is you love trains. That's what this is. You're a person who loves trains. They're very picturesque. That's probably a big part of it. He does do art. And so it's, and apparently enough that he actually has gotten paid for it. Like it's actually like what he's going toward, the art and video games and stuff like that, and that he's really done what it's taken to try to get into that field. He's very, very young, so he's doing this all part-time and on the side and stuff like that. Talking to people, he's especially dealing with, apparently there's a lot of indie gamers in France that he has to always deal with. So something that I was thinking about was with you see that's the problem with trains, especially in a place like San Francisco, where you have this huge amount of coverage of public transit. It like public transit is fantastic there. It is. It's like something out of a fantasy. But for the most part of the United States, this just isn't possible. Just because of the space between things. But then beyond that is just financing it. Having enough people in one place that a public transportation system will be able to pay for itself through the payments made by the people who ride it. Because these are now so rarely for-profit operations, like hardcore for-profit operations, that it now, they're going to have their problem financing public transportation is all, and especially places like Chicago and New York. What you see, the part about it is something like BART has to work system-wide too. It has to, or else you have a totally useless train station in your town. I'm just thinking about how fucked would this be if it had enough problems running that these stations, these just became these giant constructions that you're maintaining, but you were losing money on all the time, pumping electricity into them. That horrible, laughing in madness, Joker madness, you get what you deserve, that by the end of it, Country Boy will survive, is what, and it really is that. By the end of it, Country Boy will survive. And so I just want to make sure I put that out there to all of you who live out in the countryside, giving you a wink and a nod, because you're ahead of the game. So, beyond that, there was an interesting thing that Hoodservative brought up that came up that it was, just a few more minutes, about the table. And this woman on TikTok saying, the table is broken, there's no more table. Okay, what this is it's finally become too clear that black women so envy almost all other groups of women so much that now, you see, didn't I say months ago, because of where I live, I get to see all these athletes. I get to see all these, the 6-foot, giant black guys who come to this city. They're not from here. They're very obviously not from here when they show up for sports. And they're always with these, Blacked.com level hot fucking white chicks from, Alpha Phi sorority. And I brought this up a while back. And I see this all the time. And I see these women sometimes still around here with, their mixed kids and stuff. And a lot of times they stay together around here. This is a good place that you could settle down and kind of vanish into anonymity of the exurbs, and it's kind of wonderful. Have yourself your happy little mixed hippie kids, and but you do see multi-generational sports families along these lines. You definitely do. So that's what broke the table. This isn't somebody on TikTok breaking the table. These fellas broke the table because these women have seen, oh, that's the guy. I wanted that guy. He is now at college. This was brought up by the guy that Hood Conservative brought up, that when these black men do, finally they're in college with their sisters, and what ends up happening, the black men get to choose. The black women really don't. There's not many people who want to date black women. The exotic thing. It's not there. This idea that there's these men, there's all these men of all these different types who are just so attracted to them. And it's like sometimes, but no, Kevin Samuels has made it very clear. When you start getting to the area of cute. So you're pretty to cute now. This is a 6. This is a good solid natural 6. That a black 6 and a white 6 are working in a different realm. It then becomes like, how does she act? And that's it. I mean, that's what's killing a lot of these women. And then it's how do the pretty ones act? And pretty white women are way more nice. I mean, just plain out, they're just nice. They're nice to you, even if they don't like you. They're just nice to you, and in ways that I remember how Samuels talked about having a girlfriend in college, and his kind of his first white girlfriend, and that he couldn't understand all the things she did for him. Like he was blown away by like how good of a girlfriend she was. Like he just was just like blown away. And okay, that's happening to guys. Like that's what's broken your table. Is that these guys are like, wait, I was dating this girl. We were not even like, it wasn't, I wasn't even sure if she was that serious about me. And she like treats me awesome, and never wants to fight with me, like is always trying to, any situation that we have a disagreement on, her entire approach is actually really awesome, and she gets real quiet and wants to work it out logically and reasonably, because, why would you want to raise your voice? Why would you want any kind of situation where you have to raise your voice to this person that you are in love with? It can't possibly be that worth that. See, now because too many men are now really experiencing this, and this is now solidly a middle class experience of what is becoming the college educated black men. And also they're starting to get the lessons from men who have succeeded about do this and just don't accept anything else. Like, this is what you have to do, and all these other conditions in life, you just can't accept them being in your life. And that's broken the table. That's actually, people want to talk about a chair, swinging a chair. This is somebody throwing the table into the ring, and now it's just chaos, Gene. It's empty, the locker room. Everyone's running out. Oh my gosh, there's There's illegal wrestling moves from Japan being done left and right, Gene. We got to stop this madness. Where's the champ? Where's the champ? Oh yeah, Kevin. R.I.P. Kevin.